Hello, good morning. How's everyone doing? Just check that voice. Hello. Yeah, okay, perfect. Sound is working. Okay, so for the first time since I started doing live streams, I did not forget to unmute the microphone. Welcome to Corso Workshop. We're doing another live stream today. This time this time I am in my workshop, so we won't be doing computer stuff today. So no 3D modeling, no sketching, that sort of thing. We're doing something a little bit more hands-on, more DIY, something which I enjoy a lot more. Um, you'll have to forgive my rather sleepy appearance. I have coffee, in fact, and the best mug in the world. And I need coffee because yesterday night I slept at about half 2 in the morning. I just couldn't stop. I was binging on Simon Yerch and map making for Dungeons and Dragons. I basically managed to draw 2 maps, which is very productive as far as things go, and I can show you actually what I've been working on. That's a dungeon crawler kind of thing, and another one which is a bit more social role playing for Dungeons and Dragons. For those of you who are into Dungeons and Dragons, this one I tried different techniques in both of them. These maps may or may not see the light of the internet. I don't know if I post them online anywhere, but yeah. So let's go over what we have to do today. Well, what I have to do today. A few weeks ago, I mentioned, and in the past weeks, I mentioned that I have made several 3D printed props in the past, and this is one of the first. Well, actually, I think the first one that I ever did for myself and my brother actually has had this. This is the Skyrim Warhammer, the steel Warhammer from the game Skyrim. It is a 3D modeled prop by, I can't remember the name of the 3D modeler, but it is on My Mini Factory and Thingiverse, and they're called battle mobs. This is not my design, and they're intended to go on top of a broomstick, so to make them a little bit more interesting. I hope the sound is fine, right? If something is wrong, let me know in chat. So battle mobs, and unfortunately, some time ago, a couple of months back, this fell off the hanger on the wall and it just shattered. As you can see, it cracked on the top, the glue just came undone, cracked all the different parts of it, and while I could fix it somewhat and get it into a somewhat presentable state, I thought it might be a good idea to just revisit the project and reprint it and redo it all over from scratch, which sort of I can see then compare it. I can compare my skill sort of from back then to today. Now, there are some things which I'm not going to change. Like for example, these rings, I 3D modeled them myself. They were not part of the original design. So you can see they've come loose from their place. Basically, just some CA glue holding them. So I'm taking them off, and I am actually going to repaint them. I'm going to touch them up a little bit, fill them back in again, and repaint them and re-weather them to have sort of the same look throughout the prop, and also the same for this pommel piece, although this one I think it's held on quite tight, so we'll have to mask that and work on it in place. It's also a good opportunity to clean the prop. Finally, this leather piece, this was given to me by a company known as Malta Leather, unless I'm mistaken, and they gave me like a whole bunch of scraps for free. I remember I messaged them, asked them if they had any loose leather scraps. It was way before I started any leather working of any sort, and they were very kind enough to ask me to come over. And they, when I thought they were going to give me just a small strap or a strip of offcuts as they do upholstery. This is chrome tanned leather, by the way. Ended up giving me a bag which I still have to this day. Hey, good morning, Tony. How are you? So this actually we're going to revisit it. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to redo this and I'm going to carve it with some runes. So we may not be able to do that today, but it's definitely on the plan and I will let you know. I will probably be using the same tacks that I used here. I use furniture tacks all throughout the thing. But I think I have a better plan on how to go about it this time, which is going to be, I think, a little bit more interesting. So yeah, I think first things first is to get started on replacing the hammerhead, which I have already 3D printed and shown in the past on Instagram. Sometimes every week or so I do a bit of a quick update on Instagram Live. And this is the 3D printed hammerhead, which will replace this one. It is identical in every way, with the sole exception that the sort of neck mating piece is made of a tougher infill. It's using what we call a gyroid infill. Everything is press fit. I didn't use any glue, except to mate the two sides of the cheek. So that's the only part where I used cyanoacrylate, super glue or crazy glue, whatever you want to call it. The reason I wanted to press fit everything is that it would, if I put the super glue, I use a particular brand which is very fast drying. I don't have anything else to work with at the moment. But if I were to use super glue, it would have just ended up, drying before I could actually fit it in place. These fit very, very snugly because unfortunately, could be a matter of printer calibration, but the models themselves I found that they do not account for tolerances of the 3D print. So you'll have to, fiddle around with it if you wanted to slide them very, very nicely. However, managed to build it just fine. So yeah, I think the first thing we're going to do is going to start here. We have some defects to sort, like for example, actually let me just turn on the camera for the workspace. You'll have to forgive the mess, but we'll clear it up as we go along. Let's swap cameras. Okay, perfect. This is a better resolution. You can see this much better. As you can see over here, we have some defects in the mating pins. This is because when I was hammering it in, some cracks formed. Obviously, it didn't fill in all the way properly. We're going to fill them in with a very simple technique of using talcum powder, baby powder, and super glue. We're not going to waste time with wood filler today, although that would have been a better option. And the same for here, this side over here. Let me see if I can. This side over here, the pins are a bit recessed. We're going to fill them in. The rest of the prop is going to get a light sanding, primer and filler to fill in all the different layer lines, and then another sanding, probably another fill with primer and filler, and then finally we're going to start. We're going to fit a final sanding, then we're going to start spray painting everything, etc., etc. This one, just to let you know, I had given it a primer. Then I spray painted it with a silvery gray, and then weathered it. This time I'm going to take a bit of a different approach, where basically I'm going to spray paint the whole prop black, glossy black, or matte black. Well, I still haven't figured it out, but probably it's going to be a glossy black. And then I'm going to go over it with Rub and Buff. Okay, Rub and Buff is a wax compound, okay, which is infused with metal. I have a nice sort of silvery one, metallic one, which gives the prop a really good touch of realism. But we'll see how that goes. Okay, so I think it's about time we get started. Let's get all the broken props out of the way. Okay, so yeah, today is going to be a bit of let me just perfect. This is going to be a bit of messy day. Also, for those of you who are following me on Instagram as well, I managed to repair the prop. This is the 3D printed storm hammer, which I did on a live stream, which I 3D modeled on a live stream. This will have the same treatment as this hammer over here, but probably this one's going to be on a YouTube video. So yeah, but I managed to fix the damage that I caused in the first place. So let's get some stuff out of the way. Let's get my sanding box. I call this a sanding box, basically where I keep all my tools for sanding. So we have baby powder, which we're going to use definitely, sanding sponges, sandpaper. Basically that's all you're going to need for these sorts of projects. However, popsicle sticks always needed to push masking tape and recesses, and also we're going to use them to make some very fine sanding sticks like we did last time when we were working on Instagram Live. I'll start by making the sanding sticks quickly. I'm just going to use a very simple 220 grit. If audio is unclear, let me know. Okay. Basically, all there is to it is just a little bit of spray adhesive, Just make sure that the paper is lying flat. Now, this spray adhesive stinks a little bit, so make sure to use it in a ventilated area. I'm going to be opening the garage door very soon because once I start spraying, I want all those solvents to just go out and not stay in here so I can breathe them. I do have some face masks, but they're not respirator filters, or so they're not exactly the safest you can use. They're dust masks. However, you have to make do with what you have. And unfortunately, I do not have. I used to have a filter mask, but ended up being very, very stinky, and it ended up being more of a problem. So I'm just going to put. They actually adhered immediately, so I'm just going to give them some time and press them a little bit. I'm trying to see if I've got anything which I can use to flatten them, but I think honestly they're fine already. Perfect. As long as they don't fall off, they're going to hold the sandpaper. So I think I can make another one. Can I fit another one in here? Ooh, just about. Perfect. This way I have 4 sanding sponges. I could have made more. Sanding sticks. Could have made more. As always, I am horrible at planning stuff. So spray adhesives done. We're just going to cut out using the rapier blade. Hey, wow, you woke up this early. Good morning, man. Wasn't expecting you to join us today. Okay. Ideally, you would do this on a cutting mat, like the one I have over here. It's just, I mean, this blade is not really high quality, and neither is the surface I'm working on. So, I could do without. I can cut some corners. Besides, in the coming year or two, this surface is going to be replaced anyway. So, or I'm going to build a completely new workbench. Now I can feel that the glue has dried already, which is perfect. Alrighty, no, I'm not going to bother. Maybe just cut out the excess over here. Yeah, let's do that. Come on, looks nicer when you're using it anyway. See, this is what I always end up wasting time on. Useless things like this. But it just makes me feel better when I'm working, having something that looks somewhat decent or professional and not so janky. Yeah. So, okay, that's the starter. Now, first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to fill in, just throw them here. I'm going to start filling in the gaps. So, let me just move the camera a little bit better. Perhaps I can just even lower it a little bit so you have a bit of a closer look. Okay, I'm mostly going to be working over here anyway. It's going to be upside down for you. Sorry about that. It's like the only way I can work for now. Now, I've used this technique before on live stream. Basically, I'm going to be making a huge mess, and that reminds me I need to get my coffee out of the way. Baby powder tasting coffee is not that enthusiastic. Not that enthusiastic about it. So I'm just going to be throwing like baby powder in those gaps. I can just even push it by hand and just. We'll be taking off the excess in a second. I'm just making sure to pack as much baby powder as I can in those holes there before I start applying super glue, and which is the next step right now. And I have my glue over here. Now this glue is unfortunately a bit defective in the sense that the spout got stuck and I have to open it with pliers every time for some reason. Well, because it got stuck. So I bet it's the first time you've encountered someone who opened super glue using a vice. So it really doesn't want to get. Oh, come on. Come on. Is this really not opening? Seriously? That's completely shut. Okay. Okay, so let me see if I have another one. Huh. Okay, I think I have another one, but I'm not sure in what state it is in. Does it still have the spout? Probably not. Oh yes, awesome, awesome. Okay, so spout intact, perfect. Good. This is the one I keep with my painting set. That reminds me I need to get new super glue then. Okay, yeah, it's a huge hammer. It's the Warhammer from Skyrim. So let's see if I can apply. Yeah, the spout is unblocked. Perfect. So I'm just going to be pushing down some super glue over them, making sure to smush it in it and mix it with the baby powder, because that is what is going to hold the prop together in this area. Get some more baby powder. Also, I'm running out, so I'm going to need to get more. It's okay if we spill a little bit over. We're going to be sanding it down again, so I'm not too concerned about that. For me, it's very important right now that I get the holes plugged up. Okay. Okay. Perfect. I see there's a tiny hole over there, so let's just perhaps pick up some of the dust that we have dropped unsuccessfully. Also, yeah, let's just get some. This is the thing. It's a little bit of a tedious job, but yeah. Okay. Okay. Basically, what I'm doing in place this time, I'm doing it on the prop itself. Basically creating a paste made out of baby powder and cyanoacrylate super glue. And what that does is it hardens into a very nice and sandable material. The problem is it's a bit messy, so you have to account for it. Okay, it's going to be messy and it's not going to be very easy to see. It's going to get everywhere. So you're going to need a bit of either a vacuum cleaner or an air compressor later down the line. But it's very sandable and very nice. And even though we've got some proud ridges, I can already feel it's already hardened. I can take one of the sanding sticks which I made earlier. Actually, something a little bit rougher at first, probably a file. Right, and I'm going to probably have to chuck this up in a vise. Let's clamp it down for now. Okay. I'm not going to clamp it very hard, of course. I don't even, the clamps don't even reach. Nice. Okay, so vise it is. So I'm going to have to move some things around because the vise is just behind the laptop, and I'll need the laptop, of course, to stream. Let's just see if I can chuck it up successfully first of all. Okay, so it chucks in the vise just fine. I'm going to be sort of chucking it very, very gingerly. I just want it to not move around. I don't want to smash it in the vise, okay? Because it is plastic after all, it is PLA, and PLA is not exactly the toughest of materials. So let me just move things around a little bit. So you can see that the prop is over here. This is the area I'm going to be working on. So let me just scooch the laptop a little bit further away, like so. That's enough to work with for now. I'm going to turn the microphone the other way around so you can actually hear me. Okay, so yeah, all I'm going to be doing is simply filing this down. Okay, I've seen people use baking soda to do this as well. Yes, in fact, you can use baking soda or talcum powder. I think you can use any sort of fine powder, because basically what the super glue does is it agglomerates it very quickly. Baking soda, however, is used also to activate the super glue, so it dries up very, very, very quickly. Okay, going to be very gentle. I'm just going to remove the excess material I don't need. Just a few rounds with the file. In fact, I can already feel that most of the extra material has gone, and I don't want to dig into the plastic, so okay. A file like this is ideal to remove the bulk of the material. However, then you'll always have to go in with a sanding stick like this, which gives you a bit more of a finer control on the prop. Okay. It also removes any gouge marks that you left with a rougher file. Okay. And be prepared to go through these very quickly. I mean, 220 grit sandpaper is considered as fine in almost all regards. So, you know, it's going to get gummed up very easily. As you can see, that area is absolutely unusable now. I can clean it a little bit and maybe reuse some of it. It's just not worth it. It's just a piece of sandpaper, you know. A lot of people waste a lot of time trying to make the most out of their sandpaper, you know, get the most out of it. It's just not worth it. In terms of time, it really isn't. Okay. I can already feel that it is very smooth. I have some more filling to do over there, but all things considered, so far so good. So let's fix it. Don't need a lot. It's just the top part. Yeah, I said I don't need a lot, and then I proceeded to put in a lot, which is very typical. Just a drop. And we'll make sure to get the drop on the areas that we need. There. Give it a few seconds, it will dry up very quickly. Remove the excess baby powder because you don't want that to dry in areas which are very hard to reach, like the small angles down here, the small recesses. Those are very tough to sand later, so keep that in mind. Okay, but other than that, I think we can also start filling some of the areas over here as well, to get them to a respectable state at least. So let's do that in the meantime. Yeah. Okay. So yeah. Okay. If you are just joining us, first of all, welcome to the Corso Workshop live stream. I am Kurt, and today we are working on this Skyrim Steel Warhammer prop, which is 3D printed. It's not made by me. These are called battle mops, and you can download them off my Minifactory. I'll put the link at the end of the at the end of the live stream in the description for those of you who would like to have a look. So yeah, this is something which I have done before. I'm just sort of remaking it. And at the moment we're at a stage where we are filling in some of the gaps with baby powder and super glue, okay? Which is a simple and very effective technique. Okay. There's another small gap over there. Now obviously I can't get rid of all the variations in the print, but I'll do my best to try and fill it up as much as I can. At least I can sort of make it a little bit more uniform now. There are some gaps on this side and over here as well. I'm just going to just push down some baby powder, sort of try to remove the excess immediately, and then apply super glue on top of it. So what is everyone up to? Any new projects you're working on you'd like to share? Maybe they're not top secret. Still keeping an eye on the chat, so no, not this one, this one. Okay. Okay, so this part seems to have dried. I already got super glue on my finger, which is inevitable. Oh yeah, that feels perfect. Very, very minor imperfections in the filling, but those we can fill up with weathering later down the line. So okay, this requires a little bit more drying, and in the meantime, while I'm waiting for that, I'm going to see if I have a small piece of wood to turn into a sanding block. I was hoping for something a little bit larger than this. Let me see. No. I think I can work with this. Yeah, perfect. This is basically just a piece of beech wood. I'm going to be attaching, I'm going to be spray gluing some 220 grit sandpaper, just like I did for the sanding sticks. What it's going to do is going to give me a better control while I am sanding the top areas over here and the contours that I need over here. Okay, for the curved pieces, I'm going to be doing them by hand, which is going to be a little bit easier. Okay, but for the flat areas over here, see, this will come in very handy to give me a better grip. I did make a similar one in the past, but this I think is 80 grit, so this is way too rough for what I need. Also, one last thing, sanding sponges of different grits will also be very, very useful down the line. I've got different kinds. I'm going to show them as we go along. So let us start with the sanding block. It's going to be very simply spray gluing. Okay, just give it a second. Okay. You'll have to forgive some of the noise from outside. Unfortunately, there's not much I can do about people outside. Okay, so sanding paper applied. We're just going to wait for it to dry a little bit. Then we'll cut it to size. So let's have a look at the chat in the meantime. So Hashi says that she's working on a pattern for a shirt blouse with kimono sleeve. That sounds pretty interesting. If it's the thing that you were showing me yesterday, you're in for a lot of work. I'm glad you're doing it though. I think it's going to be very, very awesome. Not that I am I'm into fashion at all, though. So Sparky says, a million projects planned, but nothing to show off yet. That's fine. I mean, I think it. I was telling a friend of mine yesterday on another chat that coming up with ideas is not as easy. I mean, yes, you can come up with like far-fetched ideas, but to actually sit down and plan them, it takes some time. So there's a lot of creativity in that as well. So I hope I can get a look at your projects very soon, though. Those sponges are great and generally cheap. Yes, they are relatively cheap. I get them from a hardware store. I got these ages ago. I have, let me show it on the bigger camera. I have a whole box which I keep different grits. And they're really good for curved areas because they contour very, very nicely. Okay. So yeah, good. I'm happy actually to see that more people are working on this sort of stuff. So yes, I'm actually thinking of getting another webcam so I can have like 2 different stations where I can work, or at least 2 different perspectives to change through every now and then, without having to move all the time. Seems a little bit excessive at the moment. And perhaps another vice which I can sort of clamp to the surface and move it around as I need, because that one is pretty much fixed in place with bolts. I need to find someone in the UK, Oxfordshire, to help me with a very old sewing machine. And Hashi says, one can't have too many projects in mind. That is true. Sparky, unfortunately, I don't know anyone in that area. At least I don't know anyone in the UK who has that sort of expertise. I would recommend YouTube videos, maybe. Depends what you intend to do with the old sewing machine. But yeah, make sure to share your progress. I'm sure you will. So yeah. So let's cut out sanding block. Perfect. Sanding block cut out. I'm just going to refine it slightly. Alrighty, so sanding block done. It's going to help me a lot in a second. I'm going to need, however, a little bit more filing down here. Ooh, okay. So this is pivoting. I have to support it. I don't want to damage it. I should have chucked this in some cloth first, but I think it's going to be okay. Leather. Oh, I wish I do have a leather working sewing machine, and honestly I did tinker with it a little bit, but I still have to really get into it and get maybe a thicker thread, because I have like some bonded nylon which is very thin. It's strong and it works, but the needle leaves too much of a big hole for the thread to go through, so it looks a little bit odd. Either a thicker thread or a smaller needle, but yeah. I still have to do a lot of research on them. But those sewing machines are really, really useful. I just have to master them. Okay. If the sound is a little bit too much on the microphone, let me know. I will lower it. Actually, I think I will. Let me just... This should be a little bit better. Now the file let me take off the bulk of the material, while the sanding stick lets me finely control the shape I'm going to leave on it. And then where the paste sort of hardens and is left, it means that it's an area which needed filling. But I can already feel like even the printing layers, the layer lines, sanding now with a 220 grit is just makes them feel really, really smooth. And it's not a huge amount of work, so yeah. Okay. There's some filling that needs to be done over here, it seems, but we can probably use that in our favor for weathering later on. Let's change sanding stick. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that seems fine. Let's just Yes, this is a bit of elbow grease kind of work, you know. Take some elbow grease because it's not the most exciting work you have to do, but once you actually do it, man, does the prop look great afterwards. It really does. And this is something that you can notice that I have skimmed upon in my first project. I mean, I was just starting out as a maker here, but all the layer lines are very visible. It doesn't look as visible on the prop before you paint it, but once you do paint it and you paint it in a metallic sheen, something which reflects light, you'll see that it really takes up those layer lines. I don't think I'll manage to finish the prop today. I'll be honest, I may have to do this in 2 or 3 parts. But it's a good project to do on a live stream, I think. At least to keep me company while sanding. So yeah. Let's excuse me, let's have a look. Okay. That feels smooth as well. Also, popsicle sticks have the right kind of bend. They're very rigid, but they have enough bend in them to go around like the contours, which are not very sharp. Okay. Perfect. It feels okay. This side feels okay. Yeah. I can't feel any major gaps or proud areas. So I think that's enough filling on this side for now. So let's do the block sanding, which I was talking about earlier. And basically what this is going to do is going to smoothen out the layer lines from the printer. Ideally would have a bit of a larger block than this. Very important also to get the smaller areas. I won't bother with the deepest recesses. Those will be weathered and they will take up the weathering just fine, and that works to my favor. But what I'm looking for over here is an even color after sanding. You're going to see over here like the different layer lines. And basically if everything is the same color, I'm basically guaranteeing that is a smooth surface. This also, I mean, if I miss something, is going to be picked up by the filler primer. So that's good. I'm just going to work bit by bit until I sand the whole prop. Just lower a little bit the sound further, just to be safe, just to make sure I'm protecting your ears. Trying to feel with my finger on how smooth I want it. I don't want this to have a mirror finish. Doesn't make sense for a Skyrim prop to have a mirror finish at all. But I want it to be decent. I want it to look like metal. Metal doesn't usually have 3D printing layer lines, so. Actually, I'm going to make a larger piece. Okay, this isn't a flat piece though. I need a flat piece of beech or MDF, which I do not need to cut down. I mean, this is pretty flat. It's pretty flat. Let's just apply sanding paper to it. Quick application. Okay, so there. Let's press it a little bit. Apply a little bit of pressure on the sanding paper. That will dry in a second. Okay, that does absolutely nothing, no need to bang on it, but yeah. Okay, so let's just okay, so let's remove the extra bits. There are some extra bits of sanding paper which got stuck to it. Okay, let's go. Perfect. The larger sanding block now. This is perfect for these areas. Okay. I try to sand against the layer lines. The problem here is that I can't see where the layer lines are going, because I think this is the top surface, so layers will be going everywhere. Layer lines will be going up. This is different. I printed it this side to this side, so layer lines are going this way. This is much easier to sand than this. It's like, think of it as sanding the face grain versus sanding the end grain. End grain has a lot more to grab, so that was a bad comparison, forget it. Okay, so if you're just joining us, welcome to the Corso Workshop live stream. Today we are remaking the Skyrim Warhammer, Seed Warhammer prop, and we've just done some filling on one side. We're sanding. We're going to make it look really, really cool. All right, move the microphone a little bit further back. Okay, here's a little bit, there's too much contour, so I'm going to have to do it by hand. Same here, over here I can. This part I can do it just fine. Okay. Here I can feel a lot of ridges, but this is probably a defect in the print. There's not much I can do here except fill it with a primer. So we'll get to this later. Okay, this feels somewhat smooth. Let me just see if I can. Okay, this works. Alrighty. The trick is to sand against the layer lines. So yeah. So let me just turn everything around a little bit, because I'm realizing I'm going to spend a lot of time on the vise over here. So, ooh, careful, I'm going to destroy everything. Okay, the laptop is a little bit lopsided, but that's fine. Maybe we can fix the cables underneath it. Perfect. Okay, somewhat works. Oh, somewhat works. Perfect. Okay, not the best angle because of the light. Sorry about that. It's not usually where I would be. Never mind. Let's just work comfortably. This way I can keep a better eye on the live stream. Okay, so. Okay. I'm not looking for perfect at all. Yeah. Yeah, it's really quiet today in the chat. It's a Sunday, so. If you have any requests, or maybe you'd like to see me make something in particular on the live stream, maybe a particular skill or a project, let me know. I'll see what I can do. I do have my own list of projects though, so there's definitely that. I have a list of projects I want to do. I still have to do some leather carving as well. This project may take 2 or 3 live streams. I think it's going to take up 2. Today we can do the filling and the sanding, maybe priming a bit. Although to be honest, I'll be very eager to finish it, so I might take a break just for lunch and then go back and continue. And have like a 4-hour live stream, but I know, it's not easy for everyone. Okay, all right, so. Might as well do this edge. I feel it's getting a little bit rough. Okay. There's Minerva. All right. Now. Let's try with a bit of sandpaper. Okay, yeah, it's not. I need to go in a while. I should be making my own video. Cool. I'll be looking forward to it, Tony. Yeah, if anyone doesn't follow Sparky415 yet, make sure to go and give him a sub and a follow on his work. Really great guy. Personally, I've met him a couple of. Oh, actually, I met you once at Maker Central. Such a nice guy. So yeah, but the work that you do is just amazing as well. So make sure to go give him a sub. Okay, let me just lower the sound a bit further. Okay. Okay. I'm being very careful not to introduce a lot of different forces. It will help you if you're having trouble sleeping. They're very calming videos. That's true. They wouldn't put you to sleep though. I'm trying to be very wary of like the forces introduced in this. I mean, I have to keep in mind that while I'm holding it from this block, all the forces that I'm doing here, which are sort of act on a lever, are being supported by this joint over here, which is not exactly the strongest joint. If you'll see in the past one, actually it was quite sturdy, but the reason it was sturdy was because I put glue in this one. I don't have any glue in here. Good luck with the hammer. Have a good day. And you too, Tony. I hope you have a good one. Have a nice Sunday. Also, I'm trying not to scratch it much. Okay. Now. Oops, not on the laptop. Okay. I'm going to trust most of this surface to be filled in with the filler primer, so I'm just going to be hitting the spots which are most going to be probably like very problematic to sand later, like this dot over here. Okay. Okay. Let's see if we did any damage. Well, I did. No damage to the prop. So this is the side that we have not treated yet. You can see that there are some issues with it. Some areas to fill over here, like those, I don't know if they're clear, but they're recessed. Okay. Got to fill this joint over here. Also even on the underside, but this is the side that we just did. It doesn't look much different on camera, but I can assure you can feel it is completely smooth in some areas which we filled in. So that's going to be just fine, I think. Can still feel a little bit of a gap over here. It's going to be filled in later. So, now let's try and okay, somewhat sturdy enough. Episoria, are you going to paint it more? Yes, definitely. I'm going to make it look somewhat like this at the end, but using a different technique. This one was sprayed on silver or chrome, whatever it was at the time. This one is going to be sprayed black, either glossy or matte. I think, now that I'm thinking about it, probably matte. And then hit it with some rub and buff, which is going to make it look very, very metallic. Alright, so again, baby powder, super glue. Okay. I might want to, given that these recesses are a little bit more, come on, don't get stuck on me now, come on. No. Okay, let's pull out the applicator quickly. Ah, there we go. Cool. Okay, so we may have salvaged it somewhat. Yeah. Do I have a rag somewhere around? Used to. No idea where it went though. I don't know, I threw it away. Oh well. We'll sort it out later. It's a good idea when there are deep recesses like this to just put some super glue as a base. Hey. Sort of glue everywhere. Okay. Right now it looks like a mess, and that's because it is, but we'll sort it out very quickly. I need to make sure that the super glue goes where I want it, which currently is not, it's not doing. Maybe for this part, oof. Maybe for this part, I'm actually going to be mixing a paste. I have the perfect thing for that. It's just a plastic lid from a yogurt container. And let me see if I can. Over there, we're just going to be mixing some baby powder. Couple drops of super glue. And try to fold it into a bit of a paste. Which dries super quickly, so we're going to have to work with it very quickly as well. Basically acts like a wood filler. Let's see if we can mix some more. We might have to do 2 or 3 applications of this. I should have thought this before and filled it with wood filler. That takes about 8 hours maybe to dry. Don't have that kind of time today. If I see that this is not going to work, I'd rather stop this project and do it with wood filler so that it's done properly, and continue it another day. What I'm noticing is that I've got a lot of liquid, so I'm going to be adding more baby powder to this area. Okay, let me just, there we go. It is super messy, I have to admit, so yeah. Definitely not the cleanest way to fill in your props. It's just the cheapest, probably. Well, not with my super glue, but like with cheap super glue, it's probably the cheapest way to do it. Okay. Okay. Okay, that I can already feel that this has hardened. So I'm going to sand it down again with a file and do the same thing we did earlier. One thing to note is that when super glue dries, it gets very hot. I can feel this is quite warm. Be careful it doesn't warp the plastic. I don't think it can get to a temperature where it can actually warp the plastic. But like this is not comfortable to touch. It's getting really hot. So let's file that down and remove the moss. Okay, let's go in with a sanding stick. Actually, for this we can use the okay. Yeah, I think that's good. This middle one could use a little bit more filling. So we'll get to that in a second. Let's just make sure that I don't have any extra super glue in areas I don't want there to be. No, it just seems to be like talcum powder. Okay. This part is okay. It's not the most exciting part of the build, but it does give exciting results. So yeah, I have nothing to complain about there. Oh, come on. Sorry, the nozzle of the super glue keeps getting stuck. I don't know why super glue manufacturers don't just fuse the nozzles to the super glue bottle. It's just more convenient that way anyway. So we need some paste for that part over there. So let's just put a couple of drops. Oh wait, this is all hardened. Okay. Just mixing super glue and baby powder. If you have any questions, make sure to post them in the chat. I am trying to keep an eye on it as well. So yeah. This seems to be okay. While I'm at it, I'm going to start filling in some of these areas. Okay. Okay. I mean, it's a good material to fill with. It just dries very, very quickly because of the super glue that I'm using. But it gives it, I mean, I can't complain, honestly. It's not bad. So, yeah, I have a list of live streams and projects that I'm going to be doing. Live streams will include more Procreate, like designing carvings, as well as what do you call them? I have 3D modeling stuff to do as well. Maybe map making might be interesting as well. We'll see. Apesaurea, how long did it take you to print the whole hammerhead? Oh, so I think every cheek was like 12 hours each. This piece was definitely 12 hours. The tail bits here maybe took about 9 hours, and this part over here took about 4.5 hours. So that's what, 12, 24, 36. Look, it took me about a whole week's worth of printing, basically. So yeah. I think this is a little bit too powdery over here. Okay. Yeah, so it took me about a week to print the whole thing. Obviously not straight printing, but you know. Need a little bit more for that. Let's fill in the rest of the joint. Doesn't need a lot of work, but sort of dried up. Let's see if we can sand this down neatly. What you want to avoid is pock marks in the filling, because if you have pock marks in the filling, that will look like it's been obviously filled in. So as much as possible, try to leave a smooth surface, even if it sort of what do you call it? Even if it has a bit of a topography to it, you know, or a taper. It looks more natural than a pock mark, I think, unless you manage to hide it really well with weathering. I'll certainly try to hide my crimes with weathering, as it were. So, you know. Weathering should be very simple. Black wash, definitely, for the grimy spots. Perhaps some rust as well. I have some burnt sienna to use. Maybe a little bit of a green to introduce some earth tones. But we're talking about like one of the last steps before finishing. So this needs a little bit more aggression. What's this? Oh, it's already 11:30. Been at this for an hour already. Okay. I think we're in a good spot. Just going to finish sanding the rest of this part. We'll go to the top. The bottom doesn't really need a lot of work. I mean, it does need a lot of work, but it's not work that I'm willing to invest in it, because I'm not doing a movie prop. It's just a decoration, and the bottom just won't show as much. And besides, the gaps there require significant more filling. I will try to fill some in, or at least sand them as much as I can, but it's really not worth the time. I always find that prop making, or any other project really, it's always a battle against time, so I try to be as efficient as I can, but sometimes you have to admit what is worth making and what isn't. At least what is worth spending time on while making. I get a limited amount of time every week to craft. The rest of the week is spent usually working, you know, like my day job, which is fine. But obviously I have to economize on my time here. Going back to the big sanding sponge, sanding block. Giving a quick once over. Going to the smaller one, which is here. Also need sandpaper. Okay, looking okay so far. Yeah. Let's swap over to a rougher sanding sponge. This is a rough one. Sanding sponges are great for this application because they sort of shape to the contour of the piece that you're working on. Just annoying work. Okay. I'm definitely happy with this. Okay. So let's work on the top. I mean, top has some significant gaps as well, and I don't think, honestly, like for example, these pieces over here, see there's a significant gap. That will be very difficult to sand once you fill it. So I'm almost tempted to just leave it as is. Again, this is going to be sort of hanging against the wall, sort of like this. So, or actually like this, so like the best side is the one that we started with, which is perfect. Doesn't mean that I'm not going to be taking care of the rest, but to be taking less care of the rest. I'm trying to see if there's anything which is glaringly obvious, and it doesn't seem like it. It's just a piece of super glue booger. Let's see if I can, there we go, it's gone. Okay, so I'm going to turn on my compressor and give this a bit of a blast of air to clean everything. So for that, I'm going to mute the microphone. For your own benefit, really. Let's just... So, okay. Okay, so let me just mute the microphone quickly. Perfect. I think I'm going to turn on the sound a little bit higher up now. Okay, good. Can you hear me just fine now? I hope so. Okay, so prop seems to be clean. I'm just making sure to remove like the extra stuff which I don't want in there, like sometimes super glue falls into the recesses you don't want it to fall into. So yeah. Perfect. Thank you, man. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I can work with this. So now we're going to move the camera a little bit there. Actually, I'm just going to leave it here. I'm going to point it over to that way. And what we're going to do is we're going to start spraying primer filler. But let's clear everything up first. I'm going to leave some sanding implements out because I'm actually going to need them. This can be thrown away. I still will do some sanding after the first layer of priming, so yeah. I'm just going to be clearing the area a little bit. I don't need the big files, so it's fine. I won't need the baby powder now. Okay. Okay, and this can go away in the bin, or I'll vacuum everything up later. While we're waiting for the spray paint to dry. Now, this is a little bit of a lengthy process. What do you call it? The primer and filling and the painting in general. Waiting for paint to dry is not exactly the most exciting thing to do either, but it can be made to be very, very quickly. You can help spray paint dry quickly using a blow dryer. I have a heat gun with a low setting, which is the equivalent of a blow dryer. So yeah, I'm going to see what I'm going to be spray painting on. So I think I can use this workbench. If I manage to get it out. Okay, so perfect. Let's move the camera. Ooh, this can be thrown away. Okay. That way. That's where I'll be working on. Okay. So do I have an extra? What was that thing up there? Try not to climb on the workbench to reach something up in the rafter, but I think I shall anyway, because why not? Yeah. What could possibly go wrong? Now I'll open the door, don't worry, man. Yeah, just see what this is, because... Oh, it's an old flag, never mind. Could probably repurpose the flagpole for it later. Okay. Do I have any long broomsticks? No. Squeezer. I need a broomstick. Sorry, Mom. I'll give it back. Just in a bit of a painted form. So. Okay. This fits on here. Alrighty. Looking good already. So I have this. Let me show it on the camera. This is branded by Plasticoat. It's not sponsored, of course, but this is a spot filler and primer. It's usually used for automotive purposes. I use it for prop making purposes. I mean, I've had good results with this in the past. What I need to do is just give it a light coat, sand it, light coat again, probably sand that as well, just to make sure that I fit all the areas, and then start painting, I think. Let's open the door for some light and for some air. Unfortunately, there's going to be some car noises until I'm ready, but I'll take the stuff outside to dry. So yeah, let's start working on this. One last thing. So, actually, I'm going to be moving it a little bit further outside. I have less of a smell in here. One last thing, just make sure that when you're doing something like I am over there, clamping the piece of pole in the workbench, make sure it doesn't fall over. So, we shall leave that to dry a little bit outside in the meantime. So yeah, okay, getting a little bit blind. So let's recap quickly what we've done so far. We are repairing, or at least remaking, the Skyrim Hammerhead, or the Skyrim Warhammer, Steel Warhammer. I 3D printed it again, it took me about a whole week to print. I just filled most of the areas with super glue and baby powder, which creates this sort of very nice rough sanding material, which you can basically fill in with. I just gave it a coat of primer and filler, and I already noticed some gaps in the print. So those will be seen too very quick. I'm just going to leave it for a few minutes outside. I'm going to start hitting it with a blow dryer to make it dry a little bit faster. And then we'll see where we're at. In the meantime, I'm going to take some time to have a look at the chat. So if you have any questions, make sure to write them in chat. I'll be keeping an eye out, and I'll be preparing for the next steps, which is basically repainting the rings which go on the shaft, okay, and masking this area, which is going to be repainted as well. But these won't require the same level of sanding. Well, I mean, technically they should, but I think I want to preserve the look of these because it's these are one of my very first 3D models which I put online. So yeah, let's start working on these. I think I will start with the I'll start with masking this. So I'm going to be using the vise just to keep everything in place. Let's start with this side. It's okay if this looks a little bit rough. I'm probably going to be sanding the stuff again. But we'll see. We'll see. The important part is the masking part here for now. Okay. Masking tape, X-Acto knife. Good. We're using the same techniques which we used on the pistol from Mass Effect, which we did a few weeks back. So yeah, these live streams are turning out to be quite interesting. I hope I can keep on making them. It's very nice to interact with the community as well, so yeah. Oh no, I didn't cut the middle. Let me just reapply it. I don't know if you can see properly on camera, but I am masking the hammer, as in the pommel. So yeah. I'm having fun. There we go. Prop making is one of my all-time favorite hobbies. I don't usually do it on live stream, so my workflow, my approach to it would usually be a little bit different. I'm trying to be a little bit coherent and seem like I know what I'm doing, which honestly I do not. I do not know what I'm doing at all. But I mean, yeah, it's fun. Are you going to paint the stick too? Give it a treatment. I'm not going to paint it, no. What I'm going to be doing probably is giving it a little bit of a burnt look. And I'm going to achieve that by actually burning some of it, or at least licking it with a flame, as they say. Thing is, I do not have a propane torch. I do not own one. I have like a creme brulee one, which I used to use for epoxy jobs, you know, for casting stuff. And I also use it I also use it for other applications in leather working, like you know, burning off the tips of laces or stuff like that, you know. No, this part is not masked properly. Just need to make sure to cut it out in the right way. Perfect. Okay, good. So actually I can show you what I've done over here. If you can see as you can see over here, I masked the contour of the wood. Okay, so I don't actually spray paint the wood. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just follow it up with more masking tape over here, just to make sure I don't get any overspray. And I tend to be a little bit rough with these sorts of things, so I think that is generous enough. Just make sure there are no gaps in the masking tape. Well, there don't seem to be any gaps, and that's fine. Okay, good. So one side is done. This we're going to be I'm not sure whether I will be priming it. Might as well, to have everything in the same block. I'm just going to go quickly and let's prime everything together. So I'll be doing this in a second. Let's lay it down. Next I'm going to be working on these rings. They don't need much work, just a quick sanding on the bottom to remove any CA glue residue. Okay. They were stuck on with super glue, so I'm like trying to remove any residue. Now these will we'll do them on the same broomstick as the other one. It's not worth destroying this one. But speaking of destroying, this could do with a little bit of a sanding as well. Over here, this is where the rings were applied, and you can see some of the paint chipped off and landed on the stuff. So I'm just going to sand it quickly. Okay. Yeah, that's good enough. Now I don't remember whether I put CA glue on this. I probably have, because here I can see some glue. I know that I put rub and buff on these nails because they were brass initially. But I think I could do a much better job at them. Anyway. So let's see if I can start by pulling these off. Not quite sure I can, to be honest. We'll definitely try. What tool to use in this situation? Probably something like this. This is basically just a sharpened screwdriver. It's brilliant for getting in these sorts of yeah, okay, seems to somewhat work. I don't mind ruining this leather, so I think the important part is not to ruin the tacks, because I don't think I have any more left. Let's see if I can pluck it out with a needle nose now. Come on. Come on. Okay, slightly bent, but we managed to extract one of them. Now this part over here doesn't seem to have any glue, but let's see about the rest. Now obviously I do not have enough leverage, so let me just try something. Okay. Second tack, and I think they were actually fit on with glue. They don't seem to want to move, but we'll sort that out. Fear not. Okay. Alrighty. And now the last tack. I think I may have warped this too much. It's okay though, if I see that these are not going to work, I will probably put nails in and 3D print nail heads for them, which would look really cool as well. Okay, well, this is a little bit warped. Let's see if we can fix it. We'll do that later. So, okay, so this is definitely glued on. This, okay, so this part isn't glued on. That's good. That's really good news. Just need to sand this a little bit. This part, however, seems to be. Maybe it's just glued to itself. Is it? Is it? Am I that lucky? Am I that? Did I? Ooh, yes. Awesome. Perfect. Perfect. I love this. I did a semi-decent good job on this. I did have some glue dots, but I think it was like leather on leather thing. I mean, look at how shoddy this is. The cut isn't even straight. Yeah, this was, I think, 4 years ago. Okay, so this we can throw away. Now, I'm going to be, first of all, I'm going to give it a quick sanding down. This is just to make sure that it is smooth. And yeah, seems to be perfect. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to start templating the leather piece that I have to cut out for it for later. I could do it out of masking tape. Let's see if I have a thicker piece of masking tape. Masking tape. I do not. Unfortunately, I do not have a thicker masking tape, the 2-inch kind. I have the 1-inch kind. Not much else I can do, but let's wait a minute. I know what I can do. Let's start by sticking a piece of paper. Kind of curious question. Do you keep notes on how you make the project and what materials you use? I'm not as organized. No, no, not at all. Which is actually this was the reason why I started sort of making videos as well. Sort of. Then I can remind myself how I actually did it. For the most part, I do remember. It's just I don't keep notes now. I wish I did. I wish I did. Yeah. So let's see if this works. I'm going to be taping a piece of paper to stave. Okay. And I could use that as a template. Alright. can draw on this. Let me see if I can just do it like this. Okay, it might not be perfect, but I think it will work. Okay, so this basically, I managed to tape a piece of paper on the thingy, on the stuff, on the wood. Next, we draw, we sketch. I don't have a lot of ways to make this straight line over here, but I'm just going to sketch some sort of where I want the designs to go. So let's say this is an edge over here, and let's say let's get a ruler, and let us say that I'm going to eyeball the middle, right? Now, for now, the sketch doesn't need to be straight in the middle of the rest of the stuff, because we can move around the template as we need. Okay, and however, let's say that that is the other edge. We'll draw lines later. So the total, that would leave me with, well, let's say 15 is the middle. It's roughly 15. Maybe it doesn't show as much. God. Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's better. So 15 is the middle. Now probably I want it to join in the middle, right? Actually, what I could do to make myself my life easier, let's going to be working on the seam of the paper, because once I cut a line here, first you'll be like, yeah, oh no, what are you doing? You're doing the template. Kind of, only kind of, because once I remove this, I am left with a piece of paper which is the exact size of my stuff. So yeah, this I don't need. These I don't need. Okay, let's go over and rearrange the cameras a little bit so I can work on the majority of my workspace, which never seems to happen anyway. Okay, so we're going to keep the tags in here so we can keep an eye on them. We'll need them later. Let me just move everything around. Okay, one camera. These we'll need. Okay. And let's just move this camera. Yeah. I think you can see the workspace here just fine. So this is the template that we'll be working on. Well, now that I'm thinking about it, I could probably use the whole length of it, so I don't need to really use any of the marks which I made. For now, just normal, it's fine. So I can remove this masking tape without tearing it, without tearing the paper. Oh no, I tore the paper. I did the one thing I said I didn't want to do. How characteristic of me. Okay. Alrighty. You could template over the masking tape. It doesn't make a difference. It's just after I got into it, might as well. Okay, so let's work on the other side. This is the exact the width of the paper is the exact circumference of the wood stave that we'll be using. So let me just remove some of the rough stuff from underneath so I have a smoothish surface to work on. Now let's mark middle. Okay, so about 8 centimeters in circumference. Good. 4 means it's a middle. 4 and 4. Okay, so this is going to be our center line. Okay, and this we said is about 30. We'll take 15 roughly as the midpoint. Okay, let's just. Okay, so the way I'm going to segment it is I'm going to leave a centimeter on each side. Okay, so 1 centimeter and 1 centimeter. Same on the other side. I'm going to use that to be obviously that's going to be the part where the pieces, the two sides are going to mate, and I'm probably going to be putting a stitching there. This will be like a Skyrim Hammer version 2.0. Okay. I do like the diamond cutouts design in it, so I'm going to leave those. I also need to leave a 1 centimeter gap on top to have it maybe a 2 centimeter gap to have it consistent, right? I'll have it a bit of a shape. No, let's do 1. That's 1. Let's do 1 over here. The bottom and top piece don't need to be so accurate. It just needs to be roughly there. It doesn't really matter because they're not going to mate with anything. Okay, now, alright, so this is the middle over here. Let's split this difference again. Huh? Okay. Now, so 14, we said this is 14, so 14 by 2 is 7. Okay, 21. We're going to be splitting the difference a little bit more. Okay, something maybe we're going to have diamonds this way. Yeah, then we'll have 1, 2, 3. There's 5 points to tack. Let me see if I have more tacks. I do not have more tacks, but we can probably use 3, like 1, 2, 3. I think that works just fine. Trying to think. What is your favorite part of prop making? Definitely the making part, not the planning part. Definitely not the planning part. So I'll finish templating this up and then we'll have a short break. So Okay, I'm going to have 1 centimeter around each point that we have. Okay, now I need to find the center point of each of these. Oh wait, do I? Because we said that we're going to go like this. So if we're going like this, I need... okay, no, I don't need to draw these, so this is going to be like this. Yeah, okay, so let's start. I'm going to draw it on one side, fold it, and make sure it's symmetrical. Okay, I could probably do with a sharpening, but we'll figure it out in a second. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to need the middle part here. Okay. So, okay, I think what I'll do is I'll take a centimeter of this side and cut over here to have like a triangle cut out on each of these parts. What I start by doing is cutting this in the middle. Coming. Here. Okay. Okay, we're almost done. I think we can also let's just flip it down the other side. I need this is the part we're going to cut out. Just need to draw a triangle over here and one over there. So I'm just going to go and draw 1 centimeter marks over here and over here. Actually, this is perfectly where it goes. And okay, so if we just intersect these two lines, we should have a thickness of 1 centimeter on this side and on this side as well. So that's one part and that's the other. These should intersect with this because that is where they meet. Yeah. Okay, again, this is does not need to be perfect, but if it's neat, all the better. Okay. Now, we're going to have a short break now. I'm going to go have some lunch and I'll see the questions and start cutting out and continue working after the break. So let's take, say, a 30-minute break. Okay, cool. I'll see you later then. Okay, we're back a little bit earlier than predicted. Fine, perfect. So I went to check on the prop outside, and this is what we are left with. So it's got some minor imperfections and filling to do. We're going to give it a quick sanding down in a second. But some areas are really smooth, and I think that would work really nicely. So yeah, there are some areas that needs to be smoothed down a little bit. It does need another coat. We'll get to it though. We'll get to it. In the meantime, I went ahead and spray painted the rings, and that reminds me I should have taken the pommel as well, which I'm going to be doing now. So give me just a second. I'll be right back. Done. Perfect. We can continue working on the template over here. So there was a question earlier by Episodia, by Melissa. Do you like designing? Yes and no. I do enjoy designing, like in general, like when I'm trying to design like something like this. But it's not the most interesting part in the build for me. But I definitely do enjoy it. So, as in, I got nothing against it if that is the question. Now, let's clear a little bit because I'll need to use the cutting mat, which is currently burdened with almost all my other tools. Okay. Let's just move the cutting mat over. Okay, so X-Acto knife. You may be asking, Kurt, you actually spent time and made a leather working station complete with light and everything to work underneath. Why aren't you using it? And that's because I'm an idiot. I constantly get in my own way. Oh well. Now then. Now let's see, because I'll specify mark what I need to cut out. Okay, so those are the straight lines. Okay, that is the longer ones. Let's see if we can maybe freehand the rest. Yeah, using a ruler is definitely better, but yeah. Okay. Actually, Perfect. Good. Well, it helps me work a little bit more comfortably. Okay. Now I need to cut out the rest, which should be straightforward. Okay, and this is the template we'll be using for our Warhammer. Trying to think if I could do anything about it, but probably just this is fine. Right. Yeah, I think this is fine. Yeah, I think this will work. So we'll get a thin piece of leather. Let's see if I have some scraps. I'm not sure whether I should use vetch tan or use some of that chrome tan. I think it is. Let me check. Let me see what scraps I have. Using scraps is always much nicer. Now, will this fit? No. Will this? No, it's too thin. No. Okay, come on. Okay, this might work. Oh no, just for a little bit it doesn't. Can we angle it? Oh no. Oh no. Come on, it's just for this corner. There's no way I can angle it. Have I got some? Is this? Have we found our piece? They're just 1 centimeter too short. Oh no. Oh well, I'm going to have to cut a new piece. Do I even have any more of that left? I think have I used all of it up? That seems unlikely. Let me see what I have in my leather roll. Oh. Okay. Sounds still fine, by the way. Should be fine. Oh yes, I have. Perfect. Let's unfurl it somewhere where it won't get in the way. Okay. If we cut somewhere around here, we'll be fine. Great. We'll clear that up later. We can work on this in the meantime. So, trying to flatten everything down. It's not ideal to keep leather in a roll. Fortunately, I do not have space to store it flat, and honestly, to store it flat every time it requires a lot of space. Okay, so I wonder if I should weigh it down, because this is, I don't usually use masking tape to hold down pieces like this, but sometimes it's just needed. We'll cut it free later. Most importantly, I'm holding down areas which I'm not going to be using. So I wouldn't do so otherwise. It's if it were a plastic template like I did for the potion holders, I mean, those would have worked much easier in this case, but this is a one-off thing. I'm not going to be doing a lot of these leather wraps. It doesn't make sense for me to, you know, doesn't make sense for me to make a template. So I'm marking the points. And these are all going to get cut out, so and like this one. Okay, now and there. I can see through the masking tape, so I'm just poking holes to see where I need to cut out. I'm hoping I didn't forget anything. It seems like I did not. I may be proven wrong. So it's just easier to cut it out now without masking tape on, and the template actually. So alrighty. Oh no, I ripped the template. I hope I won't have to use it again. Okay. Yeah. Nice straight line. Yeah, I doubt you can see it on camera, but I can see all the pinholes which I left. Used I think it's best if I join all the lines now. Let's see. Wondering, didn't cut it short, did I? No. So what am I looking at? Okay, so this connects with, okay, and this with this, okay. Probably could have done this so much easier. Unfortunately, hindsight. But yeah, I mean, it's working. I'm seeing some pock marks here. I'm not sure whether too many vehicles outside today, I'm sorry. So let's have a look. No, those are just defects. What? Did I choose the, oh, damn it. I did the wrong hole. No, on this side it won't matter as much. On the other, though, it may have a bit of a scratch. Oh well. Mistakes made. Lessons learned. Thank God it's not Vashton. This will actually hide some of my mistakes, so I'm not too fussed about that. Okay. Okay, so there are any questions on stream? Feel free to feel. Oh, I don't mind doing. Yeah, this goes here. Okay, feel free to ask them. I will see if I can answer them as well as I can. Okay. Now making a mistake here. Okay, let's have another look at the template. Now this is fine over here. So this connects to this. Okay. This is the other triangle here. So you can just go ahead and connect these. Okay. Okay, let's do lines to scratch on and then we'll start cutting out the template. Okay. Oh, here's the last line. And except for that one mistake, I think we did a good enough job. So let's see where the so we have one line over here and one line over here, so that we cut them out to the right length and thickness. Yeah, cool. Cool. It's one side, now the other. Okay. Okay, now we need a sharper. We need a sharper piece on, so. Okay. Now, probably an X-Acto knife will be much better at this job though. When it's cutting through, I think an X-Acto knife will be just easier. Let's see. It didn't cut through. Now it needs a lot more pressure than the X-Acto knife, but I will see if I can. Kind of works. Alright, so I'm going to cut out most of it with the box cutter, and then I'm going to, with the utility knife, and then I'm going to go over with the X-Acto knife to get those corners really nice and flush without tearing into the piece I don't want to get cut. Hey, who knew X-Acto knives were really good for exact ways to cut? Guess it's in the name. Perfect. See, and that leaves us with a nice clean hole. Let's do this. For the rest of this, okay. Welcome back, man. To answer your question from earlier, I already answered it, but I'll just say, designing is. I do like designing. It's just not the most entertaining part of the whole build for me. For me, it's the making part that really gets me going. But designing is quite nice as well. Yes, this is a piece of chrome tanned leather. Chrome tanned leather. I bought this by mistake ages ago because it was cheaper than the vegetable tan from the local supplier, and he assured me that it can be tooled. It can't be tooled. No. But I mean, I found uses for it eventually, so. Okay, I'm trying. Sorry if I'm a little bit silent, but this part I need to be very careful not to cut into the leather that needs to remain. So concentration is key for these tasks. There we go. Okay, 2 pieces. Okay, let's carry on. Trying as much as possible to let the knife do the cutting for me rather than my pressure on it. That way I get cleaner cuts and more accurate cuts as well. Unfortunately, there's not much I can do for this line over here. Unfortunately, I scored it by mistake. I just need to make sure to cut on the right line now, because otherwise I ruin the piece. In fact, I'm going to do that next, just to make sure I don't forget it. Okay, for a second there I got afraid. I thought I was cutting on the wrong line. Okay. The fact that the mat keeps on sliding because of all the talcum powder underneath is not helping. I really need to get a new cutting mat and put rubber underneath or cork or something. Or just, for now, I think I'm going to get some duct tape. Well, that helps. It really does. No, no. Okay. Somewhat more stable. Okay, so did I cut all 4 sides for this? Yes, let's break it loose. And when I'm doing precision work like this, where the blade can get away from you very easily, it's very important to always cut away from you if possible. Last thing I need right now is blood on my workpiece, and obviously, you know, a cut finger. Priorities. Okay. Okay. I wonder if we can do anything with these cutouts. These are nice size for, I don't know. Ooh, Scout Woggles. Maybe. We'll see. Okay, let's carry on. I'm soon going to go and check out on the sprayed pieces, and if they're dry I will sand everything so I can be able to put it out to dry again while I continue to work on this. Actually, I think that would be the best idea to do right now, so I don't waste a lot of time. As I said, I don't think I will finish the project today, so there's definitely like a lot of punching to do over here that's left to be done. I'll probably do that either off camera because it's a lot of noise, or next time, but I'll probably finish it next weekend because it will need some weathering as well. Okay, let me go see how the pieces are doing. So I gave the rings another coat because I did them upside down. I didn't do them on a broomstick. And I gave the pommel a turn so that it gets even exposure to sunlight. I mean, they're drying up very, very quickly, so I'm probably not going to need to break out the blow dryer. At least not today. What a chill Sunday. Don't usually craft on Sundays, so usually Saturday is my crafting day. It makes a nice change. I hope you're enjoying this too. I mean, it's quite relaxing for me right now. Cool. Aha. That's looking really cool. Now you have to imagine this obviously wrapped around the wood, which I think will be cool. I think it would be cool. Could have done probably with a thicker wrap. I mean, yeah, something looks good. Feels good as well. Thank you very much. One of my regrets living in Malta is that there isn't a huge maker community. I mean, there are a lot of 3D printing buffs and a decent number of cosplayers, but not makers per se, which makes it very difficult to find people to collaborate with. Of course, I still do some collaborations, especially with Skilltree and some other very good YouTubers. But I regret it a little bit that I'm sorry that there isn't such a huge maker community in Malta. It would be really cool to collaborate. Hopefully that will change in time. Hopefully that will change. I honestly try to encourage a lot of people to get into making, young people especially, because there are so many talented young people out here. And I feel that unfortunately in this country we don't really push the arts as much as we should, because perhaps for financial reasons or for, you know, the arts are very difficult to monetize in this country at least. But a lot of people have a lot of potential, and I really try to push them in that direction. If sort of they want to do that sort of thing, I try to enable them. It's not the first time I found like young people who wanted to get into leather working, and I offered them and supplied them with tools and like scraps of leather to try and sort of tinker with. Really cool to have people to collaborate and work with. I don't know how it is honestly in you know, the rest of the world, how easy it is, but I see that a lot of people do collaborations, like in America especially. I think there's a much larger maker base in America and Germany too. Decent maker base over there. Come on. Why is this now? There we go. Yeah, hopefully there are more crafters in the future. What about in Mexico, Mel? Are there crafters there? Is crafting like a thing, making things, you know? Is it an established hobby, or is it something which is very... I was just about to ask. Here are fewer and fewer crafters. I think people aren't interested. I think that's a pity that young people aren't interested in these sorts of things, because, I mean, I understand where they're coming from. Like, we live in a culture where we just buy stuff we need rather than make it. And, I mean, fine, time is limited and not everyone has time to make stuff. And it takes effort and time to make something cool and awesome. But the level of satisfaction you get from, you know, I think Adam Savage said it, that the amount of satisfaction you get from making, like starting from a room full of materials and ending with a project, is just amazing. And I like this a lot as well. Very nice color as well. I could use the other side as well. I could use the darker side, but I think I'll use the proper face. Cool. Good. I can't tool this, so I can't score it, I can't carve it. It's fine. It's fine. I think it will be fine. And then eventually I'll sew it around the stave. So I'm going to keep on working on the hammerhead, which probably I'm going to have to move everything back so I can sand in the vise. Actually, let me see if I can sand over here without too many problems. Okay. Let's clear up a little bit though. So that goes in there. This needs its cap. Ooh, almost over it. I always forget that this stool has like a center of balance along the longer side, not the shorter side as well. Alrighty. Sanding box. Okay, so this is the super fine, this is the fine, super fine, and so we start with the rough one. Well, it's not very rough, but it's rough enough. This is going to take out most of the high spots. Actually, maybe you wear a dust mask for this. Yeah, it's fine. Not generating a lot of dust. It feels nice. So Now the point of this is to knock it, sand it down to a point where it feels very smooth to touch. Like over here, I can feel a little bit rough, so probably I have to go with a 220 sandpaper over here, which I have right over here. Let's see if this makes a difference. Yeah, helps. Okay. Oof. I think one of the reasons is that crafting is seen as an activity for poor people, so no one wants to be considered as a poor person. That is, you know what? I've been thinking about that recently, and I feel that sometimes that is the perception. It's true. It's like you make stuff that you can't afford to buy, which is reasonable, but people don't really understand the cost of having to get into a new skill, making stuff. Like leatherworking. Leather is not cheap at all. I mean, yes, it's much cheaper than buying like a piece of real leather, coat or whatever, you know, a bag. But it's still expensive. You know, I mean, a roll of, you know, vegetable leather can cost somewhere between 250 euros to 300, and that is sometimes excluding shipping as well. Depends from who you get it, you know. So yeah, people underestimate, people who are not makers underestimate the cost of making. It's really not so much of a poor man's option. Besides, it takes a long time to master and do things which are, you know, very, you know, take time to master certain skills. And time is money. I mean, I think the latest meme in the making community is how expensive wood has become. I think especially in America. So it's a meme and it's funny to see it, sort of, that people start comparing like fine dining restaurants with a woodworking shop, with a a lumber yard, because it's just as expensive. But I mean, it's kind of sad as well that like these materials which are all around us and that should be easily accessible cost this much, you know. There's effort in making these things happen. I can still feel. I was giving my impression of this specific situation in Mexico. No, I mean, I understand that. I think it's very similar all around the world, but to be fair, the maker movement sort of is, at least in the years prior to COVID, it was gaining traction. Perhaps maybe now there are a lot of undiscovered makers who are out there making stuff while being stuck at home, which would be a very worthwhile pastime to have. Okay. Yeah, it definitely needs another round of filling, probably more than one. but I think I'm just going to sand it and stop at 1 round of filling. Filler primer, that is. I mean, again, I'm not interested in making this like as realistic as possible. I'm just interested in making this look cool. I just don't want a lot of layer lines showing. Once I'm done with the rough sanding, I'm going to go to a finer grit to try and remove as many of the sanding marks that I left, which aren't many, to be honest. This is quite fine for a rough sandpaper. Sanding sponge. Yeah. Okay. It's good that you start seeing the color underneath the plastic, because it means that the filler is dropping down into the spots that it needs to fill. So that's good. Okay. A very quick hit with the fine one. Okay, so non-sanded, sanded. Okay, I won't bother much with this part. I won't bother much with this part over here. This is going to get really weathered, so yeah. So quickly do the other side. Sanding is hard work. Are there any questions asked in the meantime? I take a little break. I need it. Here's a question for you. For the audience. I know there aren't many people watching right now, but if you're watching it later as well, feel free to answer it in the comments. Is there anything that I do over here that you would like to see being done better? You know, recently I've been taking a little bit of a different take on my videos, which I am happy with, but also I don't want it to exclusively be non-narrated videos, especially just music and making stuff, you know. Is there anything which you would like to see on my channel? Maybe perhaps narrated content, more in detail. Maybe, you know, if I take a project and split it down into several parts so I can go really in detail. Is that what you want? I'd really like to see what you think. I mean, I can't say that I promise I'll make that sort of content, because it really depends on my schedule, you know, my schedule. But I definitely want to make stuff that you enjoy watching as well, and if I enjoy making it, then all the better, you know. So yeah, I do get some feedback from my Patreons, which are 2 currently. I have 2 patrons, which is really nice. It's kind of overwhelming already. But yeah, I do get feedback from them, but I'd really like to see a little bit more feedback from you guys to see sort of what you like seeing, because I honestly enjoy making content. Like, making stuff is a passion of mine. So yeah, let me know in the comments or in the chat if you're live right now. If you're wondering if you can sand this with an orbital sander, you definitely can. I don't have fine enough rough sandpaper to sand it with an orbital sander. It will be a bit too rough for this use. As I said, I'm also going to focus my efforts on the sides of the hammer. The top and bottom will get some treatment, of course, but the sides are the ones that are going to show the most. So definitely these are the parts that I really want to make look nice. Okay. I think I'm due a new sanding sponge soon. This seems to be crumbling a bit. Okay. Some areas don't want to sand as much. As long as they feel smooth, I'm not worrying too much about them. So. Actually, what I'm thinking about, it doesn't really need another layer of filler. It's looking really cool, and then it feels good as well. Maybe I'll give it another layer of primer along, in the week in preparation for the next live stream. Okay. Yeah, everything feels smooth. Over here, not so much. Let's see. Would probably need a file for here though. Okay. It's not perfect, but it will turn out just fine. Okay. Okay. So, Pissarro said, I would like to see more of the 3D printing process and more leatherworking too. Yeah, cool. Cool. Yeah, I can definitely show more of the leatherworking process on live stream. With regards to the 3D printing process, I have something lined up. The video of the Storm Hammer is going to feature like a time lapse of the 3D print, and probably I'm going to actually take a sped up footage of the live stream that I did when I 3D modeled it, or just take the playback function of Fusion 360 and record that. It's really cool. So. I think, yeah, I can show more of the 3D printing. Thank you very much for your suggestion. Okay, so we're just passing the 3-hour mark on the live stream. I'm going to start wrapping things up. going to make sure that everything seems and feels okay for now. Okay. Good, we'll work on the bottom part a little bit more. Let me just show you a little bit better, perhaps. The bottom and the top do have defects, like the seams over here and over here on the top. Could I have filled them? Yes, definitely, of course I could have filled them. Did I want to? Yeah. Not so much. I mean, it's really not worth covering up these pieces because they're not going to show that much once this piece is on display. And even though they're not covered, as I said, I'm not going to make a perfect replica. It's not my intention to make a perfect, flawless replica. So yeah. Okay. Give it a quick once over with the fine piece. Okay. Okay, sorry if that was a little bit annoying. Sanding unfortunately tends to be a little bit annoying. So, but yeah, I think we can call it done for today. We made good progress on it. Prop making usually takes a lot of time. So yeah, I'm definitely going to need to give it another primer round so that it is at least completely covered in primer. I think I'm going to do the primer filler this week so that at least it is filled in nicely. But I think so far so good. I'm quite happy with how this is at the moment. So yeah. Okay. Good. Let me just go get the pieces from outside and we can have a quick recap. Oof. Okay, so the rings are looking really nice. I just gave them the same coat of filler primer just to cover up most of the paint job that I did earlier, okay, in my life. And this is the pommel piece which has been given the same coating. Okay, I'm going to leave the masking tape on because I'm going to coat all of these black. I won't give these another shot of primer. I will not. I really don't need to. But this I will. The hammerhead I will. But overall, I think it's looking really good. So yeah, and this piece will eventually go over here. I'm going to clean it, of course, and everything. It seems to be just the right size, so that's good. That's good. Okay, good. I'm very happy with what we've done today. So let's start wrapping things up. Let me swap cameras. Okay. I mean, I know that it wasn't like a lot of work so far, but I still feel really tired. Yeah, I need to get good sleep. It's just watching makers on YouTube is just addictive. I can never stop binging. So, first of all, let's have a bit of a recap. What we did today was we started working on the Skyrim Steel Warhammer build. It's a 3D printed prop. It's called a Battle Mop. It's not my design. You can find the design on my Mini Factory. I'll try to link it down in the description once this live stream is over and gone published on my YouTube channel. We've had a bit of a chat today as well, so thank you very much for joining and for participating. I really appreciate that you guys take your time and actually interact with me. And these live streams do take some time and effort to organize, and I really appreciate that people join in as well. So yeah, today was a bit of a chill session on a Sunday. We did some basic leather working. We basically cut out a design for the handle wrap, which is going to be on the stave. We took off the rings which were on the prop previously and the pommel, and we gave them another coat of primer so we can all give it the same color scheme and they will look exactly the same. Okay, we sanded it, filled and primered it, sanded it again. So yeah, I think we're in a good spot to take a little bit of a break and, well, not take a little bit of a break and stop actually for now for the live stream. But we'll continue this next weekend. I will do my best to announce the live stream beforehand. It could be the case that we'll do a late Saturday evening live stream, but it'll probably be in the workshop. It's just useful to have sunlight out. It helps these dry very, very quickly. So there's that. But we'll see. I will let you know and see how my schedule is. So yeah, there's not much else to add. Yeah, thank you very much for joining me. This has been such a pleasure making these things and interacting with the community. I'm really happy that you took your time to join me and have a chat. Just saying hi to my friends in the chat. Tony, who was here earlier, and Melissa, Pisauria Atelier, so make sure to go give them a follow. Both of them are excellent makers, and yeah. Go for it. So, yeah. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. So yeah, so take care, keep making, stay safe, and hopefully I'll see you around. So yeah, take care guys, and have a good Sunday, have a good weekend, and have a nice week ahead. I'll see you next time.